We are heading literally and figuratively for deja vu territory. The final 3 rounds of the inaugural Japanese Super Touring Championship, and we're back to places we've been, but not as we know it. This is Autopolis short, and you'll see that from the track map in the top right. And the fun and frolics of a completely open championship still rages on with 6 races to go. The Dawn race, suited for European viewership, has been noted throughout the season, and in order to get people into the crowd, free entry into the stands, but the paddock is still paid to get in, hence the popularity in the background of that massive auditorium behind the start finish line. And it's a German on pole in a Mercedes, once again, Karl Schumacher. And the regulars are starting to make themselves presently known. Jack Scaife, Marius Rostad, Gordon Butcher is the head of the pack. This is Adrian Michael Rees, back once again in Japan. We are looking forward to these with bated breath alongside Michael Swinnerton. How was your trip back from Switzerland?
Yeah, pretty comfortable. Looking forward to seeing what happens here. Of course, we've been here once before, so I wonder how many drivers are going to go into autopilot mode and try to turn left at the top of the hill instead of turning right like they're supposed to this time round.
We saw that in the early practice sessions. I think they're going to be definitely used to it by the time the lights go out for a 16 lapper. As we are blinded by the leading pack, we still can't see who's ahead. Quick glimpse of Toyota as it tries to shuffle for position. Still no further forward. In fact, it's fallen backward behind Pitsonia, and Nakano has Gordon Butcher. And Schumacher, we've seen that in the first time we were here. The Mercedes had a massive wobble on the start and has decided to hit every branch on the way down. Therefore, the two Subarus had a flying start, and they are 1-2 before we head to the first hairpin. A few more turns to go before that, though. High-speed traffic jam in the lights. And what is that I see? That is a brand new entry, a returning entry in a Ford Focus, a four-wheel drive Ford Focus. Hideo Fujiwara, US livery. Yes, this is the team that had the oldest car in the field. Went away for Bathurst to get ready, and boy are they ready. They're up to a better position than they've ever been in, even at Tsukuba there. They must have been kicking themselves this whole time thinking we should have done this from the very start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if they'd had the car ready, they would have certainly used it. That was one hectic start with Schumacher, just the back end coming around on him so quickly. I think he needs to redial his brake bias and pretty quickly. I don't know whether you noticed, but Ingram actually made a pass in the grass there. He actually utilised some rallycross tactics to get past Schumacher as he was getting back up to speed. So that was all go straight away here, and we're only on lap 2.
And even the Subarus at the front having a bit of a wobble on. Will we see Schumacher do the same thing again? Maybe not, as we still focus on Takahashi in second. Very good run for both Subarus. Butcher back up to third after a wobbly start. Pitsonia's Mazda there. All four-wheel drive top four. And then you've got Jack Scaife's Honda. Narusai also making his presence felt as well. And then Katayama's Mazda too. Lotterer in the other Mercedes, now ahead of his teammate. Very heavily oriented on four-wheel drive as we've experienced this season. And these Mitsubishis are on course to overtake the Chaser Motorsports team in the privateer rankings, as they have been more presently at the front towards the end, the business end of the season, unlike the complete underdogs that we really didn't expect to see do so well. Full development of that Crown Athlete that they're running has decided to, like Yuji Ide's focus or input has sort of hit a stale point now, and it looks like the Mitsubishi semi-professional outfit could grab the Independence title. As goes Fujiwara's inexperience into the back of Hideo Muto there.
Yeah, poor old Hideki just learnt that his brakes are not as strong as he once thought they were. Unless that was, well, no, I'm not going to.
Is it going to happen again? Not that time. Carl Schumacher down to 13th after that quite wobbly start.
Yeah.
We've also got one of the other Hondas further back. That's Satoru Suzuki, who was, I'm pretty sure, was 8th on the grid. And so
I
fall back.
do believe he got blocked in behind Schumacher after the half spin that he had, which is why he's now down here just scrabbling for a points finish and having to race Anna de Grassi's Golf.
Ellen Frenson plumb last, and the two Chase Motorsport Crown athletes propping up the bottom end of the grid.
Yeah, this is unfortunately, I mean, it's sad, but it's also somewhat to be expected from these cars. This is where, I mean, E-Day was being very realistic at the start of the season, going, we would just like some points finishes, let alone anything else. So they're already happy. They've already achieved as far as they're concerned. So whilst this, back of the grid here, not really where they want to be, it's not necessarily the end of the world for them, especially as they've got stuff to build on ready for next year.
It's almost like they were force-fed championship points they didn't want, but there's your top 5. Scaife closing in on the four-wheel drive advantages.
It has also done them well enough in terms of financial backing, because there were more stickers there on the car than at the start of the season. Plus, I don't know whether you saw this, but there was a cheeky spy shot from the race shop there, and what looked like a third Crown athlete being built. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to get used for, but there's another car being built. Who knows
Read
what
into
for
that
and where.
what you will. We saw the colour on it. Now, if it's a third car being built, or was it, in fact, next year's car? Were they going to start afresh? We'll never know. Here's Petunia.
We'll wait and see. I'm sure we'll find out come the off-season soon enough. But yes, meanwhile, top 5 here under a blanket.
Quick glimpse of the Subaru still struggling to get round turn 1 in one piece. The momentum lost, but off the back. Petunia on the back of that as well, as Mouse chased by Cat, chased by Dog.
Yeah, it seems to be a thing that something I've noticed over the course of this season is that the four-wheel drive cars with the shorter wheelbase do tend to have a habit of trying to swap ends in heavy braking zones and not really like trail braking as much as other cars. And I don't know whether that's inherent in the chassis thing or whether it's a setup thing, but it's certainly a trend.
Still fairly decent. What's a spread? They're still close. Still very early days, mind you. The minute and 15-second lap, fastest by Jack Scaife so far. As the conditions get hotter throughout the morning, perhaps that lap time is going to tumble.
Yeah, track temperature will slowly warm up over the course of this race. I don't know whether it will warm up to any significant degree to affect lap times, but we shall have to wait and see.
I can no doubt that would assume there was Ingram in the background taking a completely different line to the slipstream for some reason.
I mean, there they are.
The Subaru still battle. You'd expect, I mean, Rustad is the one with the Subaru Rallycross experience, Takahashi with the local experience. Were they torn in who should be leading this race? No team orders, of course. Well, they shouldn't be. It's frowned upon, of course, but that's not going to stop decisions being made behind the scenes.
Well, if you look at it from a championship standpoint, Takahashi is 5th in the standings and quite a few positions higher than Marius Rustad. So you would assume the top brass Subaru would want these two cars the other way around. However, with the very spotty season they've had so far, with some good results and some really not so good results, I dare say they'll be happy just to fill out the podium like this, regardless of what way round the cars are. It's nice to see them at the front and taking command of this race for once, instead of being on the back foot and scrabbling.
A 20 points difference between Rustad and Takahashi on this race alone. That would look very good in favour of Takahashi, who would need to claim about, 19 points on Katayama ahead in this championship after Bathurst. Butcher still close. Petsonia and Scaife. Scaife's going around the
Scaife.
outside of Petsonia. There we go. And the other Mazda starts to gain ground. Keiko Katayama.
Yep, Katayama has definitely joined this top group, so the top 6 now all close enough that if one of them makes a mistake, they're going to pay for it with positions. Although it's all
Top
plain
6.
sailing and formation flying so far.
All in a row. Top 6. Gap to Lotterer and Narasai. Starting to form. Still a decent strand. The Nakano Mitsubishi. Ingram filling up the top 10. Muto almost close enough. Schumacher not gaining that level of ground. The Fujiwara Focus starting to slip back a bit.
Although you say that, it looks like he's going to send it up the inside of Schumacher. Schumacher goes into the back of the Genesis in front. We have a nice little mosh pit at turn 1. Somehow everybody's alive.
That's Muto's Genesis. Went to bottom behind this lot.
Yeah, despite their really good running at Bathurst and their definite play for the championship, both drivers and constructors, they're not doing anywhere near as well as they need to be at this late stage in the season.
Absolutely. This is the first. Well, they were leading the championship after round 5. They got into the manufacturer's lead after Bathurst, and there is a 50-point gap after Bathurst. This is obviously not going to help, especially with Butcher wanting to usurp the 2 Subarus ahead, but not gaining the sort of ground that Toyota still expect to happen. Obviously, these were the outright favourites at the start of the season because all of the works input is going into these 2 Toyotas after departing from the Worlds.
A bit more sideways action from Takahashi there. It does seem like the Subaru has got the straight line speed, or at least the acceleration over the Toyota, to maintain this first and second advantage they've got and just gap Butcher enough just so he doesn't feel tempted to make a dive bomb on Takahashi in front into any of the heavy braking zones. I think Butcher's going to have to get a bit creative if he wants to get any further up the grid here. Though on the plus side, Butcher does have a slight gap to Scaife now, so he can focus on attacking rather than having to defend as well.
Mazda's in a very decent position as well, 5th and 6th. Not doing their manufacturer campaign any harm at all. They've been top 3. They were leading the championship at the start of the season on manufacturers due to how much of a lottery it was for race wins in early days. And speaking of which, Rustad hasn't won a race yet, so that train keeps rolling. Even if it's a couple of times with 2 wins, and Fujiwara with now 2 facefuls of different car on the front of his Focus.
Either Fujiwara hasn't worked out or hasn't quite grasped how
he almost did.
Yeah, how good the Focus can brake, or it's got better brakes on than he thought. Because that's, yeah, we've seen that multiple times now. I get the feeling that that car can really stop and pivot very, very well, which is going to benefit him in slower speed corners and more technical twisty circuits, like next time we go to Tsukuba.
Oh yes. And of course Suzuka East is next, long straight, and just the S is back onto the start finish.
Yeah, 1/2 straight, 1/2 wiggles. It'll be interesting to see who sets up their car for which bit of the track.
And still a decent strand, decent crocodile from front to back, all on the same straight, despite it being a short layout.
Yeah, there's a slight gap forming with some of the cars further back.
And I guess with it being an early race, I think everyone wants to now see it through to its logical conclusion without too much drama. Ide now gained a position over the privateer Mazda, as has Nomura.
Yeah, around the outside. That was impressive.
Still not in a points paying position though, which is what they so desperately need for the independent standings.
Everyone just playing follow the leader, which is all well and good if you want to just sit and collect points, but we're on lap 12 of 16 now, so if anyone wants to make a move, they're going to have to get a wriggle on because we are running out of time and running out of road. Scaife now getting onto the back of Butcher here, so maybe the Honda can nick a podium.
Honda with the top end power, straight line speed, and still enough grip in reserve by the looks of it. Down the inside goes Takahashi. This is the move for the lead, but obviously switched back there. And there goes Petsonia back around the outside of Scaife, but is that going to be hang on for the hairpin? Scaife still ahead. Petsonia now leaving his mark, but Scaife still has room for the inside of the 100R. No, he does not. Petsonia back to 4th. Scaife down to 5th, having tried so hard for 3rd only a couple of turns ago.
Yeah, that was a chain reaction there, with Takahashi having a look on Rustad, then having to slow up, which caused Butcher to slow up, which caused Scaife to hit the brakes, which gave Petsonia the momentum he needed to send it round the outside. I doubt they're going to stay this calm for much longer. The Subarus keep having moments of oversteer at turn 1, but it doesn't seem to hurt them. They don't appear to be losing too much momentum doing so, so maybe that's by design they're doing that? Treating the corner like they would in a rally stage and dipping the brake to get the car to rotate.
And there goes Katayama ahead of Scaife then.
Honda falling back, as we've seen it do a lot over the course of this season in both Japanese and World Supers. By the time the race is done, it's burnt its front tyres out, and that's that. Ingram now getting close to the back of his teammate. I don't know whether they're going to try anything here or whether Ingram will just be happy to sit 10th and take pole position for race 2, because that's something that he's not experienced before. Despite the amount of races he's done.
Muto and Fujiwara having their own battle might end up gaining on this. Carl Schumacher has not gained since that massive wobble on the start.
He thinks the car is just too... Oh, Fujiwara from downtown! Nice
this time
try.
he knew where to place the car, because I guess the Ford should have the brakes, and it looked like it didn't, but Fujiwara was aware of it that time by.
He's learning.
The two Mitsubishis go side by side, but it's still Ingram in 10th.
Yeah, after I said it'll be smart for them just to do some plain sailing and not try any funny business.
The funny business being a wall of Mitsubishi trying to block anyone else getting through, perhaps.
Well, I don't think they need to resort to just yet. Muto seems to be far more concerned with what's in his rearview mirror rather than what's in front of him. Fujiwara is definitely taking up his attention. Oh, look at that! Nearly sent it again. Oh, they've definitely built a good car there. That Ford has got some very good handling characteristics to it. 2 to go. Who is going to be the one to make the big move? There he goes. He's not quite got the move finished yet. Muto's still there. No, now he has. Now he's clear. So Fujiwara just one position below where he started. Oh, Muto sends it back. And gets him round the outside.
Fujiwara's going to have to get used to this very, very quickly. Something that he didn't quite get round to in one of the oldest super touring cars in the franchise. This is perhaps the newest beast to be added to the list. Restricted to Japanese regs because it's a four-wheel drive car. And the inexperience has been showing. Another dive bomb perhaps. Very close to Moto that time by. As we cross the line for the final lap. It's still Rustad leading from the very offset when Karl Schumacher fizzled out of his lead very early on. Takahashi Butcher still second and third.
Oh,
Will there be
Fujiwara's
space
close.
to dive up? No, he's
going to just fill the rearview mirrors this time round. He's got this next corner, could be an opportunity for him to get past. He has a look, and I think this whole next section is going to be a no-go zone, and his next opportunity is going to be the final hairpin. So he just needs to stick onto the back bumper of that Genesis in front and then be very, very brave.
So a rare sighting for the Genesis to be so far down in the points, but points nonetheless. Toyota should be achieving a lot more as well, we know, but they are in sensible position, sensible enough to gain back on Genesis, but it's Subaru's morning. Mind you, it's Mazda's morning as well if Pizzoni is going to get ahead of Butcher at the line. Rustad, new winner. Drag race for the final spot on the podium, still Butchers. Mazda doing very prominently. Ingram with the pole for race 2. Promising run for a brand new car, yet as a brand new team. E-Day still not enough to get the points after a good, sensible run towards the end. And all in time for breakfast, as the two Subarus show the cameramen where to point their cameras. 1-2 for Subaru. What a wake-up call that has been to a championship that has always seemed to produce surprises. We're still trying to wake up here, though, Swinny, aren't we? Really, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was good. Little bit lackluster at the front, maybe. People were just being a bit sensible. I think people are certain drivers may be looking at a championship rather than just out and out race wins. So possibly driving a little bit conservatively there. But yeah, I mean, I think driver of the race was definitely Hideki Fujiwara. That he showed that focus has got some serious potential behind it. I look forward to seeing what else they can do with that car.
And we shall see that later on this evening. Sizable break, sizable time for the teams to fix certain repairs, learn from certain mistakes, as we go around here one more time to determine who is going to be leading the championship as we head to Suzuka later. So for the time being, Adrian Michael Reese on behalf of Michael Swindon. Bye for now. Good racing, everyone.